Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, Adab, and greetings from IEEE Student Branch, University of Dhaka, Bangladesh. I am Adita Farooq, Graphics Designer General of IEEE Women in Engineering, Affinity Group, Student Branch, University of Dhaka. Welcome to today's event of CV Writing Workshop for Successful Application in Academia. CV portrayal is one of the key factors when it comes to academics and employability. How someone portrays one's background through the curriculum vitae, no matter how qualified he or she is very important. Hence, let me welcome Walid Bin Habib, the instructor of today's workshop, to take you through the basic steps of CV writing. He completed his bachelor's from the University of Dhaka, majoring in applied physics, electronics, and communication engineering, and post-graduation in the Department of Sustainable Systems Engineering at the Albert Ludwigs University of Freiburg, Germany. He is currently working as a research assistant at Friedrich-Alexander-University. Hello, Walid Bhaiya, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Adita. It was really nice to meet you all, and also thanks to the IEEE Student Branch University of Dhaka and the Women in Engineering Affinity Group for inviting me to this workshop. I guess we are already late, so before we are late, we can start our event. Yes, but before we proceed, I wanted to know that among the 22 members who are present here, how many of you are non-IEEE member? Because whenever I join an event, there's a small survey I make always, so that I can know that how many non-IEEE members are interested also in joining IEEE events. So if you can raise your hand a little bit, it would be nice to know that how many non-IEEE members have joined today's event. Okay, so 4. So there are 4 non-IEEE members among our 24 participants. Maybe there will be more members who will be joining. So thank you so much. I got the answer. So still the majority of the people who joined today are IEEE members. I thank everyone for raising your hand. Before we start saying about the CV writing workshop, how to write a CV, how to modify a CV, I want to speak a little bit about IEEE. Because this is the organizers who took the plan to make this event. IEEE is world's largest technical and professional organization that works for the benefit of the humanity. Yeah. So ideally, IEEE is not just an organization that makes CV. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
I could not hear you.
Yes, Bhaiya.
Is it okay? Thank you. So IEEE is just not an organization that makes CV workshop, MATLAB workshop, or any other workshop, yeah, or some meetings sort of like this. This is a common misconception among the non-IEEE members. IEEE works for the technical solution and non-technical solution for the humanity, for the humanitarian aspects. So today it also helps the members to join in the big companies, to stay in the academia. So CV is a part of something. When you have a very good CV, you can compete yourself in the academia. Yeah, that's the reason that IEEE organizes this type of workshops and seminars and webinar, so that you can modify your skills. You know on which skill you should focus on, and thus IEEE helps the students. But at some points, IEEE also works on different projects, which could be $20,000 US, $80,000 US. Suppose this year there is a famine in Madagascar, and this is a real event. Yeah, there is a famine in Madagascar, and Madagascar IEEE team wrote to the Regional Humanitarian Activities Committee that they need technical supports, and they don't have much money. IEEE Region 8 and IEEE Global Humanitarian Activities Committee assigned a group of volunteers who are very skilled in technical prospects and how to resolve a disaster. This team went there. IEEE funded the whole money with the help of different organizations like Microsoft and Cisco, and they helped the Madagascar to resolve and support the post-famine environment. And now they are fine. I mean, first not fine, but they are in a better situation. So IEEE is not just about attending the CV workshop or joining the CV workshop. It's more of something. When you achieve the skills after joining the workshops, IEEE expects that you also help the other people to uh, to solve different humanitarian aspects and the problems you are facing in your surroundings by the knowledge of your technical and non-technical aspects. Yeah. So there's a short of IEEE to the all non-IEEE members who joined today. I really thank all of you for joining the workshop. I hope you will enjoy it. I try to make the workshop in a different manner, in a non-traditional manner, because I believe that all of you know how to write a CV. It doesn't matter it's good or bad, but you know how to write a CV. My focus is to say how you can plan to make a better CV. Okay, and that's how I want to proceed. So myself, Walid, I'm working at the FEU in Germany. Other than that, I am the chair of IEEE Germany section, Student Activity Committee. I'm also the chair of IEEE Power and Energy Society, Humanitarian Activities Committee, SAC. And I'm also the corresponding member of IEEE Region 8, Humanitarian Activities Committee. So let's go to the workshop. Before I proceed, I believe that you have some pen and paper on you, with you, or you are in front of a computer where you have some Microsoft Words. It's a workshop, so this is not a webinar where I will be talking and you will be listening. So there will be some points when you have to do some works and you have to submit it to us. Okay, so I really believe that please arrange a pen or a paper or open your Microsoft Words and minimize it when it is needed. You have to open it and do some works. Thank you. So there are 4 important things in life. When you are a student, you have 4 important things in life. One is called CV, one is cover letter, one is the grades, and the letter of recommendation. So among the 4 important things, we are talking about the first one. Maybe in future, IEEE student branch at Dhaka University will make some events about the cover letter or the letter of recommendation, and the grades is up to you how you perform. Yeah, so these are the 4 important things. Why 4 important things in your life? From your bachelor studies to a postdoctoral studies, yeah, or any jobs. I mean, at the end of your life, if you are in the working environment, these 4 things will define your future. Maybe suppose you want to, now you are in a situation, you are an undergrad student and you want to apply to Grameenphone, you want to apply in the Nairobi, or some maybe in energy company, Energy Pack. Among all other things, these 4 things are mandatory. Yeah, suppose you want to apply in the US for study, or you want to apply in the Europe for study. These are the 4 common things you need. And suppose you have completed your master's now, and now you want to apply for a PhD. These are again the same things that you will need for your PhD. And now you think you're done with your PhD, you are a doctorate. Now you want to apply for Microsoft. You want to apply in the BMW for your job, or you want to apply for a postdoc. Still the same thing. Yeah, you need this. So there is no exception that you can get the best positions if you don't have the best of these 4 things. And today we'll learn about how to write a CV. So CV is an important thing which will help you in getting to higher study. If you apply for a postdoc or PhD or a scientist or researcher, that's academia. Yeah, that's very important, that you really need a very, very good CV. Yeah, that's important. And today we'll be talking how to make a better CV perspective. So this is just a dummy example of making a CV. First of all, CV means curriculum vitae. Yeah, and the Latin, I mean, the English meaning of this Latin word is a course of life. So the perspective of CV is that you are explaining or showing your course of life in a CV. So that's the most important thing. That what is a CV? CV is the course of life. That means it's a paper or it's the pages where you are showing your course of life. This course of life will define yourself to your job giver, your employer, that if you are the best person to choose on that vacancy. So CV is an example. The right part you see, this is a dummy example. Someone is Araita Benson. She writes a CV and this looks really nice. So one of the important aspects of a CV is that your CV should look very nice. When you open it in your computer, in your screen, or you print it, at the very first sight, it should look nice. Unless it's very clumsy, or the person who will review it will lose interest at the very beginning of the of thing is, a CV should look nice. It should not be full with information. It should not lack of information. So that's one thing you should be focused on when you make a CV. So CV is a personal piece of marketing, and it's the vehicle to promote yourself. And what is this maximum 1 minute? I mean, what does that mean? That means a CV is not read for 5 to 10 minutes. A CV is a paper of 1 or 2 pages, or maybe 3 pages. When a job employer, a job giver, opens the CV, he reads or she reads it for maximum 30 seconds to 1 minute. Yeah, so you have to sell yourself. You have to promote yourself in that 30 seconds to 1 minute, and you should make an impression to the person who is reviewing your job application or admission application, that okay, we consider this one for the next step. The next step is what? The statement of purpose and also the letter of recommendation. But the CV is the one which makes the good impression for your SOP and LOR. Yeah, so this is the first step for your application in the academia and also in the non-academia. So it should be very precise and important. Now let's go how you can make good CV. The first important thing is that I said before that a CV is something that promotes yourself in 30 seconds to 1 minute. So how long you should give to make a CV is just something for 1 minute. So you will make it in 1 hour or 30 minutes, or how long? That's the thing. You have to make CV for months after months. It could be a year, but at the end, this will be reviewed in 30 seconds to 1 minute. So when you start making a CV, you should have a basic CV. For example, as I said before, you want to apply in a university in the abroad from Bangladesh, and you think that I need a CV, because you scroll down all the information that what are the documents you need, and you find that they need a CV, and you start making a CV. There's the first wrong thing when someone makes a CV. If you want to apply in the MIT after 1 month and you just start making CV now, that will be a disastrous CV. It doesn't matter how beautiful does it look, but you cannot make a CV in 1 month for applying in the MIT, because that will be your first CV. A CV should have version after version, 13th version, 14th version, and a lot of versions. So it's very important to have a basic CV. What is a basic CV? Basic CV is something which records everything you know, you learn, you study. That means your academia. Whatever you have achieved, the awards you received, and any scholarships you have. Also the presentation, publication, and all the activities you have done till now is a basic CV. So that is a CV, like it could be 5 pages, 10 pages, 20 pages, depending on your accumulation of different awards, publication activities. In short, whatever you have that could be beneficial to show in your application, that should be written in this basic CV. And this basic CV should also have a format, but the information you want to collect should be in the basic CV. Why is this basic CV important? You may learn 20 to 30 courses in your bachelor studies, but when you apply for a master's degree, not all the 30 courses will be important for your admission. For example, if you are a student of electrical and electronic engineering, you study about electrical, you study about electronics, you study about communication, and you also study about management or finance, economics, etc. But in the masters, you want to apply for nanotechnology. So if you now write in your CV that I studied management, I studied economics, I studied finance, these are of no use. It's just called the overflow of information. So when you have a CV, in the basic CV, you have written everything in a short and precise way. From that book of information, you can make the final CV depending on your application. Another example is you want to apply for the masters, you applied for the nanotechnology, you applied for power engineering, you applied for electronics engineering. So 3 application. For 3 application, your CV should be of 3 different types. Okay, so if you make one CV and you apply to 10 places, maybe for one of them your CV is excellent, but for the rest of 9 your CV is a garbage. Yeah, so there is no one CV of your life. So there is no permanent CV of your life. CV is always something that's updated and updated. And to make an updated CV, you need a basic CV, which records everything you have achieved. So when you start making a CV, if you are an undergrad student and you are not applying to anything, you just start creating one CV. You remember your 8th grade scholarship, 10th grade scholarship, 12th grade scholarship, everything. You just keep recording, and it keeps on going bigger and bigger in pages. But that doesn't matter. That's important. When you make a CV, the right time, you will not remember everything. But if you have a basic CV, you can read it, you can collect the information and put it in your final CV. Now the question is, okay, you understand what is a basic CV, but you want to know that how to write a basic CV. CV writing is important. Always, it depends on the intended recipient. Who will read the CV? Depending on that, we make our CV. Now, if we want to assemble a raw version of your CV, that means the basic CV, you can follow a technique which is called in science STAR technique. STAR means situation, task, action, and result. So I give an example, and then you understand that what I want to say basically. Situation means you write the settings, the aims, and the persons involved in that perspective. Which perspective? You in your bachelor studies, suppose you have done 4 projects. Now you want to write these projects in the basic CV. The basic CV, you will write the title, then you write a summary of your projects, the aim of the project, the persons involved in the projects, how many persons were involved in the projects, who was a supervisor, everything. That part is called a situation. That means the main title situation is the settings, the aim, and the persons. Then it comes a task. What did you learn from that projects? And your team wanted to achieve. Why was this project completed? Why did you complete the projects? And during solving the projects, what problems did you face? These all things are the part of task. You write another small paragraph, it could be 1 and 2 lines, but you are writing it now. Next is action. How did you solve it finally? And how far you could achieve it? Could you achieve it, the aim you set in the situation in the beginning? Or you could not achieve that? Then how much was the progress? You write in the action, and finally you write the results. So this all information could come in could set in 3, 4, or 5 lines. It could be small paragraph. It could be 7, 8 lines, depending on what you know. You just write it. You just document it. So maybe now you have 4 projects in your bachelor study, and you write it in your basic CV, this project could make 1 page. This is not your final CV, so it can be 1 page. Yeah. So whatever you know, whatever you have, just keep writing on it in such a way that everything you want to write in your final CV, you write it in your basic CV on the situation, task, action, and result. And finally, when you have a basic CV of 5 to 6 pages, you can see that all the information now you have on your CV are similar. For project, you have the situation, task, action, and result information. For the thesis, you have the same information. For the publication, you also have the similar type of information. So everything you have has similarity, and then you can make a confrontal or similar CV for the application. So if you want to start writing your CV, you will start writing it with a basic CV. That's the first step of writing a CV. Going to next part, I want to ask a few questions to you. I don't know, the 31 persons are here. The first one is, you are the chair of IEEE student branch ABC. Now you want to write that part in your CV, long CV or the basic CV. I really want to ask this question to the chair of IEEE student branch University of Dhaka, if she's present here. That what do you think, that how would you write it to your CV?
Hello everyone, can you hear me, Bhaiya?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so hello everyone, I am Malisha Kapati, chair of IEEE student branch University of Dhaka. So actually, to write the CV of myself, I have already written my CV. So according to this, I have included my publications and some my extracurricular activities like voluntary work, competitions that I have won, and my email ID, LinkedIn ID, and some of and actually also I had also added my GitHub link. That's all. And and sorry, I have also included my institution name, my CGPA. That's it. Thank you, Bhaiya.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Malisha. Malisha is really a very good IEEE volunteer, and also she has achieved a lot of awards in the abroad. She writes all of this in the CV. The most important part is having information and putting it in the CV. That's the important thing. Malisha has a lot of achievements, but at the end in the CV, it depends on how she is putting it there. Yeah, and we will check it how putting the information in the CV makes the CV a best one. Now, I want to ask one other thing. Suppose who was the host today? Adita Farooq, right?
Yes, Bhaiya.
Yeah. Okay, so you answer and the other person will listen from you. That what do you think about it? Suppose in 2021 you attended IEEE Extreme competition, and for the other person who doesn't know what is IEEE Extreme, IEEE Extreme is a 24 hours programming competition that takes place around the world at the same time, irrespective of any geographical location. It happens with a theme. So suppose you also joined the competition, and this year you positioned 50th place in IEEE competition. My question is, do you want to write that you position 50 in your CV, or you don't want to write it because you think 50 is not a good position? And the second part is, if you want to write that you joined extreme competition, how do you want to mention it?
Bhaiya, I think I will mention my position in the competition, and then I will mention that how what I learned in that competition, how I did everything, or what type of problems did I faced in this competition. So I think
Super.
I will mention it in a paragraph or in short.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. So it's very important when suppose there are 10 to 12 programs in the competition. So when Adita scored 50th position in extreme, she might have solved 5 to 6 programs. Yeah. So she can write easily which programs she solved there. It's not important to write which I could not solve. It's more important to show what you could. So she solved 6 programs and she could not solve 6 programs. So in the CV, she will write only those 6 programs she could solve. And in the basic CV, she will write also those 6 programs which she could not solve, because this is the basic CV. This is not the final CV. Why it is important? Because when you give an interview to supervisor, and suppose your supervisor is also a part of IEEE Extreme, because you know IEEE is such a big organization that wherever you go in the world, you will find IEEE members, IEEE professors, IEEE in academia. So suppose if they find that you are in Extreme, maybe your supervisor was also some of the persons involved in extreme competition, who were maybe the mentor or proctor. Yeah, they are called proctor. So she might or he might be interested. Okay, you joined in 2021. Which program could you could not solve basically, but you joined maybe 2 years back. Yeah, and you really do not remember anything. What were the programs that you could not solve? And then you start stammering. I cannot remember now. I'm really sorry. Or at this moment, I cannot exactly remember because it was 2 years back. So that is a negative answer. But if you document it immediately after any events you join in the world, you document it. Then when you write a CV for the final one, you write it to your supervisor and your professor. And in the interview, she asks about it. The answer will not be negative. You can answer something as well, because you will not forget. It's already documented. So I guess I could tell properly why the basic CV is very important for your final CV. Okay. And if you really have any questions, please write in the chat box or write to the host. I will read and I will answer later. If you have really anything that I could not clear you, please write in the chat box. Thank you. Now let's start pre-application research. Now our CV is writing is starting. So when you write a CV, you should focus 3 things. What is the employer's demand? If you cannot clearly maintain it, that employer's demand is not focused on your CV, no company, no professors, no research lab will hire you, because you don't know what is employer demands from you. And your previous experience, does it fit in the job position? The next part is your desire from the position. So it's 2-way. Yeah, it's not about what your supervisor wants, what the employer wants. It's also what you want. No supervisor, no employer wants a frustrated employee. Yeah, nobody wants a frustrated supervisor. Student. So they also think that if you are happy working with them, so in your CV, it should be important in writing in such a way that your employer's demand is fulfilled, and you also mention that you also fits and you will be happy to join the position. And when it happens, then they will say, we want you. They are so convinced with your CV and the other application, they will say, we want you, and you will be really happy to join it. So to get to these positions, like we want you and I am very happy, the starting is the CV. So you have to really know how to write the information in the CV such a way that the employer's demand is fulfilled and your desire from the position is also fulfilled. Okay. Now let's see, how shall I know that employers demand is, how do you know the demand of the employers? So that's one important thing, resources to find out what you need to know. So if I go back again, if you write a CV, I just give another example. You are applying to suppose university, some university in the USA, and that is in the computational engineering. Suppose you start writing a CV instantly. That means you are writing in your CV whatever you have. Your school education, college education, bachelor education, studies, your project winning, your competition, everything you are just writing in your CV. But you really do not know what does the professor want actually. Does he really want that's all success and achievement you need? It might not be. So to make the best CV, the first important thing is to know what does that professor, what does that employer wants. And this can be done from three ways: informal inquiries, internet, and networking. What is informal inquiries? I am afraid I cannot say if it does work in Bangladesh, but in Germany, suppose there is a vacancy in the Siemens, and there is an email address of the HR. But if you go to the address of the Siemens website, you will find that in that group, which group you will be applying, there are other employees who are working there already. So you can copy their email and write an email to them to know more about their work environment and what do they do. And they will be very happy to reply to you back that someone really is so interested that they're making informal inquiries, not the formal one. Informal inquiries that how is your work environment? Okay, do you think this data machine learning is important in your project? How much it is important? I know this amount of I have this amount of knowledge. Can I really fit in your things? They will write to you, definitely. So that's called informal inquiries, that you write to the other person of the company or the university who are working there to know about the work environment. Another is internet. You search and you get what does it say, in the internet you will get a page, the previous joining page as well, employment page. There are some circular, we can read that, whatever they write. And the networking, if you have someone already in that company, in that university, or in that research group, it becomes very easy. You can easily contact them, knock them, and if they like you, you have a very good relationship with that person, you can say, please talk to your supervisor, please talk to the professor, I am interested. And then that person can talk to the professor supervisor immediately. And if they also have a good relationship, the professor will say, okay, tell her to send the application and put me in the CC. Normally we apply to the HR. The HR is the human resource, but he will say, okay, put my email in the CC. That is adding another influence on your application. So when you are writing a CV, you need to know these informal inquiries, internet, and networking. If you have these things, now you know the demand of the employees. When you know the demand of the employees, then furnish your CV, write your CV, start writing your CV. Now you're more confident what to put in the CV and what not to put in the CV. Okay. The next part is different CV formats. These are something we always want to know, I guess, like how I write it, how do I write my CV? Yeah. So the first is what is most relevant. That's one thing you need to know. There are a few CV formats, which this can be mentioned as chronologically, thematically, and combination of both. Chronologically means you write the most recent achievement or whatever you have in your CV, and then you go to the earlier one, the previous one. Thematically means you are focusing on skills now, and a combination of that means when you write education, you write it chronologically, and when you write your skills, focus on skills, then you write it thematically. So this is how the CV formats are working in the world. There are basically three types of CV. Not all types of CV will be associated or will be applicable for any job or university application. For application, you have to choose one, not the three of your either one of them. You have to choose one of them only, and that should be very important. So we are talking today about academia. So for the academia, we only choose the chronological CV. The most recent information will be at the top. So today I will be only talking about the chronological CV, not the other part of the CV. So academic CV, let's talk about this. Another thing is that today the slides you are watching now, this is not the ideal way of writing any presentation. Presentation is quite different, but this is because this is not about how to make a presentation. This is more about how to write a CV. So don't start making presentation following these slides. These are very non-ideal slides. Okay, So however, let's back to the top. Academic CV should be chronologically, ideally. There are some exceptions, of course, where you can also write it thematically, but that's not ideal. So you write it chronologically. Latest education should be at the top. And here you write details of your publications in the academic CV. Publications is very important. If you have it, more details of your publication. Even if you don't have publication, you have some thesis, you have some projects, write it in details. Just not the title, write it in details. Now, what should be the length of your classical CV? I want to know from anyone, just your opinion. I want to know that what do you think? What should be the length of a classical CV? Anyone, just write or say. From you have heard from your seniors or your juniors or some people that CV should be like this, 1 page, 2 page, 3 page.
Our classical CVs are long, like 3 to 4 pages.
Okay, you said that classical pages 3 to 4 pages. Someone wrote 2 pages. Is it the same opinion for everyone? It should be 2 pages or 4 pages or something like that? Okay. Someone says 6 pages, someone says 3 pages. So everyone has some own opinion. Okay. So thank you. I wanted to know as well. Classical CV is basically 2 pages CV. Yeah, maximum 2 pages CV. And but when it is an academic CV, it can go beyond 2 pages. It can be 3 pages depending on your achievements. But we always try to make it within 2 pages so that the job giver, they don't have to read more and more pages. So it becomes comfortable for them to read it. So it's ideally 2 pages, but it could be more than 2 pages. Do not think, because when I was applying, I had a vision, I had a feeling that if I make my CV more than 2 pages, my application will be deleted. I mean, it will not be into consideration. So anyway, I try to make it reducing the font and reducing the margins and a lot of things. I tried to make it in 2 pages. But when I started working at the Fraunhofer, I have seen how the new employees are joining. I mean, when there was a meeting among the group leaders and the other employer, that there are some applications for student jobs, and we open the CV in the television. We have a big television in the meeting room, and then we start looking at the CV. So I have seen CV more than 2 pages, and nobody and nobody said that, wow, why this CV is 3 pages? Why is it more than 2 pages? That's not the case. Nobody says that this should be within 2 pages because it's an academic CV. It could be more than 2 pages as well. But we will. I mean, it's not about only me. The people who give the jobs, they just check it within 1 minute and discuss on it. And I have found that it's not about information. It's more about how you write your CV that gives you the job. Yeah. So you try to make it within 2 pages, but if it's more than 2 pages, it's also okay. Yeah. It's more okay when you apply in the Europe, because in the Europe, they really know their CV format is quite different, and it can be more than 2 pages, and nobody will take it as a bad reputation, as a bad thing. So it can be more than 2 pages. So classical CV is 2 pages, but academic CV can be more than 2 pages. But the important thing is content should be sound and easy accessible, and it should be not monotonous. I will show you a CV which is so monotonous. I mean, you cannot even want to read it. Yeah. So it should be very sound and easy accessible. And the more the experience, the more the length. So I have seen a CV of a postdoc. He has CV of 5 pages, and that's not a bad, because he's a postdoc. So his CV could be 5 pages. That's not a problem. And one important thing, if you have too many publications, like my supervisor, I have 2 supervisors here. One is Dr. Stefan Gluns, and one is Dr. Christoph Brabeck. Dr. Christoph Brabeck, I mean, you have seen that a few months before, weeks before, in our social medias, the rank of the scientists were very prominent, like the different scientists were sharing their rank among the 7 lakh scientists. What were their ranks? So Dr. Christoph Brabeck is ranked as the second best scientist in the FAU, 35 in Germany, and 1,300 something in the world. And he has too many publications. I mean, I cannot even say. So if you are in that level, do not write that publications. You add your website, you make a website and put everything in the website and put the link on the website in the CV. That's all. You don't need to write 100 or 200 journal and conference publications. But if it is 10, then write it in the CV. That's completely okay. Let's talk about the non-academic CV or the resume. The interesting part is non-academic CV is the CV used in the USA. So you are applying in the USA, you have to write the non-academic CV. It's called resume. So normally skill-based CV is called resume. Non-academic CV, I told already that the CV could be chronological, thematical, and combination. So basically in the US resume, the combination is used. Yeah, so they also call CV, maybe, I don't know, but that's basically resume, what's in the world. So first they prefer your skills and then education. That can also be altered, not a problem. And when you're applying in the position of a scientist, then not necessarily the skills are needed to be at the top. Yeah, because they expect that you are applying for a scientist position, then you should have this skills. So it's also something you can change, you can alter, that if you're applying for a scientist position, you have the skills, so start with education. But even if it's education, make it brief, not so fast. So there's one thing. If you're applying in the USA, that's a resume, that's not an academic CV. So you can keep your skills first and you can give your education in the second. But you can also start with your education. That will not make a problem. But if you apply in the Germany and the UK, then it's a little bit different. Okay, so to summarize it, in the USA they use resume, but they also call it CV. But that CV is different from the rest of the world. In the science and academia, CV is used instead of resume, but in the USA, resume is more common. Europe, Africa, and Asia, the CV is more common. That's I call academic CV. What is the difference between the CV of the rest of the world and the resume in the USA? In the resume, you do not give any personal information. No picture, no image of your, and no personal information, your marital status, your religion, your home. I mean, whatever the personal information you have, most relevant, you don't write it in the resume. Okay, so that's one important thing. So US resume is devoid of any personal picture and the personal information. But if you're applying in the Europe, Africa, and the Asia, then you have to write CV, not the resume. About the German CV, if I say, in German, the title is called Bewerbung. The CV of Deutsch is called Bewerbung, and Bewerbung literally means self-promotion. So whatever in Germany you want to write, you want to apply, you have to self-promote in that pages, and you have to keep in mind how you can promote yourself. And if I am a job giver, yeah, if I am a job giver, I would say I would really like to see the picture of the person who has applied. If I really want to give you a job, I want to take your interview. Without seeing your picture, how can I imagine someone in my mind that whom I am thinking actually? So in the German CV, it is very important to have a professional picture on the cover page. I mean, on the top of the CV. Without this picture, your CV becomes almost null and void. Yeah. And the picture should be professional as well. It's not a Facebook picture, it's not a selfie, it's not a passport photo, it's a professional picture. And at the end of the session, I will show you how what means the professional picture. Yeah, and here you can mention a nationality, date of birth, marital status, religion, etc. It's not a problem. And important part is, add this photo only if you're applying in the German application. Never add a photo in the international applications. So that's one thing. And Another important thing for applying in Germany, at the bottom of the CV, you write the place, name, and signature, even it's a PDF. In the US application, in the US CV, you do not mention the name, sorry, the place, the date, and the signature, right? I guess whoever already made CV, like Malaysia made a CV already. I don't think she has a signature at the end of the CV. But if you're making a CV in the German, I mean, writing, sending to the German people, then you write the place, name, and the signature at the end of the CV. So these are some common things you need to have in your mind when you are making a CV. Earlier I said the CV should be made concentrating on to whom you are writing, and now also it should be made to which country you are writing. So these both are very important. So there is a difference between the German CV, the UK, and the USA. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, please write in the chat box or some places. I will take your questions so that I can make it. Now, how to turn your CV into a resume? Do you need to really make two CV and one CV, one resume? No, that's not the case. You see, this is a funny picture. This is taken from phdcomics.com. So how we can make a CV into resume? So see, step one, move the real world work experience section from the bottom to the top. In the CV, we write about experience almost at the bottom. I mean, you see, we write the contact information, then we say our education, our academic position we held, and then we write our publication, then write our teaching experience, we write our research experience, we write our leadership experience, and then, I mean, these experience come at the bottom of everything. If it's a resume, put it in the top. And here the CV starts with your real work experience. And step two is trim the document to one page. Good luck. In the resume, it must not be more than 2 pages. It's a bad practice to make a resume more than 2 pages. In the USA is even if in the Germany, even if the Germany, they told you to write a resume, and you think that, okay, it's not a USA, I can make a resume more than 2 pages. No, resume should not be more than 2 pages. Yeah, the best resume is in 1 page. There is a question from Saif, the chair of IEEE WUSB. I will come to your point after finishing these pages. We have an alumni in the US. He's Bahauddin Bhai. He is now working as an assistant professor in the University of Colorado Boulder, finishing his PhD from the Rice University association with NASA. Yeah, and I found his CV after completing his PhD, and that CV was only 1 page. So it's not like that 2 pages CV are the best. 1 page means you have nothing, so you cannot write. It's not like that. 1 pages of resume is also the best. When you are the best, your CV will be the best. It doesn't matter if 1 page or 2 pages. But if it's a resume you're applying in the USA, you should make it anyhow within 2 pages. Keep it in mind. Yeah, and you can also follow these things. You can start giving your experiences in the beginning. What is the experience in the beginning? Now I give an example. Suppose you mentioned your name in the top. I'm talking about the US resume now. Yeah, it's not the German CV, US resume. You write your name in the top. I can also show my one when I applied it. It's not a problem. Then before you give your education, you write your research interest. You can write it here, like I wrote it: solar cell fabrication, solar cell and module fabrication, characterization, and degradation. These 5 to 6 words, research interest, and then I wrote about my education. That means you do not start your resume with education. You write it with your skills or your interest. When I was applying in the master's, I don't have any skills. I only have interest. When I am done with the master's, I have a lot of skills now. When I am done with the PhD, I have more skills now. In that case, when I'm applying for a postdoc, I will start writing a resume with my skills, then my education, because skills become important than education when you are applying for a postdoc. Yeah. So this is the resume. But if it's a CV, if it's a German CV, it's a traditional one. You give your picture, you give your name, writing everything, then you start your education, then you go on. So it's something different, and I hope that I could make it clear to you. If it's not clear, please also ask me. So Saif asked me, shall I edit my CV according to the professor or research interest? Definitely. That's the one thing that your professor will like you, a professor will take you. If you make a random CV, then maybe um, it does not relate to any of the professor you apply, or it might relate to one professor out of 10 one. So that one will be interested to take you. So always write your CV, edit your CV according to the research and the professor. The professor or the research interest. I will also say more about it after the end of the slides. Yeah, about it. So I hope you get it. What is the difference between CV and the resume? What to do if you apply in the USA, and what to do if you apply in the UK and the Germany and the rest of the Europe. If you don't understand, please write it. Now, I guess there was also a question about the Europa CV. I just want to read it. Is this the same pattern for the Europa CV? How many pages should be a research CV be? Okay. So see, Europa CV does not have any length, because I have already said resume should be classical, 2 pages, 1 page, but the CV could be more than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. But if you just start prolonging the CV without any context, then it is a bad practice. CV should be very ideal. So this is the I don't know if it is visible to you, how much visible to you, I don't know. This is a CV of my Europa CV. This picture is a non-professional picture. If you submit a CV like this picture that I have put here, ideally your CV will be rejected, your application will be rejected, ideally. So if it's a CV where you need to put your picture, be very careful when you give a photo. What I feel, if I take a CV, at the very beginning, in this picture, at least to me, before going through the writings, my first eyesight is on the picture. I don't read anything. My first eyesight goes on the picture, and the photo seems so unprofessional to me that I will immediately say that, okay, even he is applying to Siemens, he's applying to Tesla, he's applying to BMW, and he doesn't even know how to make a photo, yeah, for an application. And there are hundreds of 10,000, 15,000 applications in these companies. From the very first step, the CV goes to the dustbin, yeah, and there is no point of recommendation and SOP in that case. So CV is the one thing that keeps you in the track for the second step, third step, fourth step. CV should be very precise. On the other hand, the left side, there are contact addresses. I guess you can see it. And the right part, there are professional experience and the education. So these are the some things that can be possible in the Europa CV. Europa CV is a CV format which is used for the CV writing, mostly in the Europe. And you can, if you want to make CV in the Europa, that is very simple. You go to the websites, you make it, and they will make a CV for you, template for you. So, and put the information in such a way that the CV does not go very long. Put the information in a precise format, precise way. It could be 3 pages. I get 3 pages excellent for a Europa CV. And for applying in the Erasmus program, applying in the Germany, applying in Germany, in the UK, in the Finland, any country in the Europe, you can follow Europa CV. That makes your effort easier. And you don't have to feel that Europa CV is used by everyone. So I want to be unique. It's not a problem. Even it's easier for us to see when all the CVs are the same format, that it's become easier for us also to know. Okay, Saif has also asked if there is a template for the CV provided by IEEE. No, IEEE does not provide any template. Before, there was a part which is called IEEE Resume Lab. There you could write your CV information and they will provide you the template. But that was in 2018. I guess after that this is discontinued. So there is not a proper format of IEEE. But before there were a few templates and a lot of advantage. But I don't know why it is discontinued now. But at present, no. Now the section to include in your CV. Now see, I'm again going back to CV, not the resume. But if you understand the difference between CV and resume, you can easily change it and make into a resume. Yeah. So your name should be in the large font. It is very important. And personal details. Large font is very important. Okay. Education should be given. Professional experience should be given. Achievements should be given. And additional skills, activities, interests. It could be research, publication, your fellowship, the course you are taught. You have professional affiliations and presentation. What are the professional affiliations? IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, is one of the best professional affiliations someone can have as an engineer. If you are the affiliation, if you have affiliations of more than one, like I have the PACE membership, Power and Energy Society, it has a big impact because I work in not power sector, but energy sector, renewable energy. So when they found that, okay, I am a member of PACE, IEEE PACE for 6 years, then okay, then he is not only working in the lab at the university, but he is also spreading his work outside the Germany by IEEE Power and Energy Society. So add those professional affiliations in your CV that is also aligned with your research interest. And if you have some achievements on with those affiliations, also mention it. Yeah. And if you have some presentation, also mention it. And what would be the order? I don't know. The order should be depending on the application, to where you are applying. What does your supervisor want? Depending on that, you change the order. You can add the publication top. You can also write publication later. What makes your CV stronger? Put that part before and the weaker part later. That's how it should be made. So depending on the importance, depending on the application, you have to sort it out by yourself. But these are the things which should not be omitted from the CV. These are sort of must thing. Now, I want to know from the speakers, who are the hosts, that did you receive anything about this, about writing a CV, or who has already made their own CV? That was a task for today, and we will make 20 minutes of it to make a small part of the CV.
We haven't received any task till now.
Okay, that's the thing. Then it's not a problem. I want you to make, there are how many? 28. So excluding me, 27. So make a group of 6 people and make it a breakout session, and write this task, but one from each group. So if there are 6 persons in a group, make one CV from the knowledge of 6 people. And then we will see that how are the different outcome from the each 5 or 6 groups. Yeah. So you can make it now. Before that you make it, I want to know that if there is any questions from anyone about the CV you want to write. One question is that I have made a CV from Resume Lab by IEEE and made it my own academic CV. No, it's not a problem. You can make it. It's not a problem really. So if there is any questions, we can take the question. If there is not any questions, we can try to make a CV, because I know that now there will be a lot of faults of the CV, and the part is not completed yet. There are some parts which is how to improve the CV, right? That will be after this this workshop. Till now we have learned what to put, what not to put. Now after that part of this workshop, we will learn how to improve your writings, and then we will show some bad CV, we will see some excellent CV, and then we will conclude our workshop. So I would request the organizer, the host, to make 6 person a group so that they can together make one CV, including these 3 parts. The first one is you are applying for hire. Please read it or take a screenshot of it. you are applying for higher studies in the US and the Europe. How do you write the header of your CV? Okay. You have 2 internships, one at Siemens and one at BMW, 2 conference papers at IEEE, 1 journal paper at IEEE PV, and 2 awards for volunteering. How do you organize these points? And you know some software applications. How do you write it in your CV? This part might seem very complicated to you now, that how can I write it now? I have only pen, I have only paper, I have Microsoft Word. So it's a group work for 6 persons, I believe. So make it in a group. 5 persons will have different opinion. So write on the best opinion. You think it, how to make it. It's better if you write it in the Microsoft Word and send us the screenshot or send the file. Then we will talk on the improvements. And here you will have possibilities of 5 improvements at least. So think on it, and I would request the host to make a group of 6 people so that they can make it, and then we will talk about the improvements.